What up, y'all? Back here with another video for you. I have a handful of things, the last bit of my power metal collection, and we're going to cut into it. If you notice any auditory differences compared to my usual videos, I bought these little direct to phone microphone things, and hopefully it sounds pretty good. I don't know. But we're not drinking a beer. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just got off work. So I am listening to Begotten with a Wandering Silhouette, or a, yeah, Waning Silhouette, excuse me, signed by the whole band. If you guys don't know this band, it is a banging depressive black metal band from, I think they're in Ontario, maybe Lindsay, Ontario, if you're familiar with that area. I sure am not, but nonetheless, great Canadian black metal. So we're just going to get to it. So we're going to be in S through W, and the first thing we're going to talk about here is Heroes by Sabaton. I'm a big fan of this band in passing, I guess I should say, because I don't listen to them all the time, but I do like their music. I've seen them live before, and I think they're great live. They're really fun, really energetic, very entertaining. And this is 2014, so I think I saw them on the Heroes tour with Amon Amarth and Skeleton Witch, which was a really good show. It was when Chance just left the band from Skeleton Witch, and they were uh, touring instrumental, which is wild. So I got to hear all the really good tunes, but all instrumental. Uh, but yeah, really great kind of super dweeby, melodic ish power metal, heavy metal. Really, really dorky. Sabaton's great. I don't have to explain that to you. Next is some Savage Circus with the album Dreamland Manor. So if you're not familiar with this band, they're basically more of Blind Guardian. Everything about this band sounds quite a bit like Guardian in the same way of which Storm Warrior sounds like Halloween. Um, but obviously the early, same thing with them. But this is a really, really great record. So this was formed by like Thulman or whatever his name is, who's one of the members of Blind Guardian, who left once they started kind of changing their sound around, and he formed this band and put out some really, really banging kind of power speed metal, pretty epic style, more in that early vein of Blind Guardian. Really, really great stuff. So if you feel like you don't get enough out of the first like 6 or 7 Blind Guardian records, hit up the Savage Circus records. They're really, really good. Next, I bought this blind at FYE several years ago. This is Brothers of the Night by Storm Kingdom, or sorry, Seven Kingdoms. Um, Really, really good stuff. From what I remember, I have not spent a lot of time with this. This is back from 2017, um, out on Napalm Records. So this is their debut record. Now they have a female vocalist. This is back when they had this dude Brian singing in this band, and it's kind of like melodic death metal mixed with symphonic power metal. It's an interesting contrast between the two styles. Um, it maintains a lot of really dweeby elements, which I really like, but it's not the most like, I don't know. It's not the heaviest thing in the world when I say like melodic death metal. It's a decent enough record. I haven't spent enough time with it to give a really cohesive explanation as to what it sounds like. Next, Fables and Folklore by Shadow Strike. I picked this up, I want to say 2021 ish, somewhere like that. But this is a great EP from them. This is their debut EP. They've since put out a full length, of which I have not yet listened to. Comes with a sticker of the album cover. This is really, really good American power metal, done in a lot more of a European style. They're from New York. It's just really, really solid symphonic power metal all over the place. I really, really do like this album cover a whole lot. I mean, come on now. That's amazing. Next, a chief of the genre, which is Skylark with the album Dragon Secrets. This is a classic, as far as I'm concerned, from the late 90s on this weird, like, European plastic lined digipack, sort of digipack. I don't know what you call these things, but it's a great record. So, this is like a new master version of it, and this band is from Italy. If you're not familiar with them, they are a must listen in the genre. This is a rough album cover, and their logo is horrendous, but I do really like this album. It kind of keeps that really good choice melodicism of like that band Pandemonium I talked about in the last video. I think that would have been, yeah, that was the last video. It's melodic while still being really heavy and speedy, and kind of maintaining a good dweebiness to it, which I don't ever think is a bad idea. Skylark is great. you hear some noise in the background, it sounds like the maintenance people are vacuuming in the hallway of my apartment building. Next, Ecliptica by Sonata Arctica. If you guys don't know Sonata Arctica, another band you're missing out on. This is their debut record from 1999 out on Spine Farm. Really, really great Finnish power metal, man. I really dig on this band a lot. They sound, they have that weird Finnish melodicism that everybody kind of akins to this area of the world, and it fares very well in like a melodic symphonic power metal context. I think this album hasn't really been put on the player quite as many times as this one, which is their second record, which is Silence. This is my preferred of the two records. The first one seems to fall just a little bit flat, while this one really, really works out well with the really bombastic nature of the style and the peculiarities of the Finnish metal scene. Really, really great stuff, man. Seriously, if you like dweeby power metal but want it to be done really tastefully, I think Sonata Arctica will be your band. I get a couple from Stradivarius. This is Infinite. This is the first thing I ever heard from this band. I picked it up when I first got into power metal and just was like, wow, this is really, really great. It's super, super dorky. It's very, very run of the mill Euro power metal. But nonetheless, it's a pretty good mix of the genre. You know, another Finnish band, like I said. I like the aesthetics with all this blue. I'm just a big fan of blue in general when it comes to like the look of albums, and it's a great one. I'm kind of this futuristic dolphins jumping through an infinity sign. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Oh, the album's called Infinite. Anyway, Elements Part 1 by Stradivarius as well. Another one very similar. This one has not really been put on the player all that often either. Comes with this cool old Nuclear Blast catalog, which I always get down when looking at these. I always think they're really, really cool. I'm going to open it just because it was in there, but I really do love looking at like all the stuff that was just coming out back then, you know. I think it's really, really cool. Like SOD DVDs, Primal Fear stuff, In Flames stuff, Immortal Hypocrisy, Dissection, Gravedigger, Dimmu Borgir, Children of Bodom, Benediction, all these like, you know, these bands that everybody loves. It's just cool to look at the old Nuclear Blast catalogs as far as I'm concerned. Next, Symphony X with the Odyssey. This is my favorite Symphony X album, I would say. This is brilliant. It's progressive. It's really, really heady, and it's not the quickest listen. That's for sure. The last song is called the Odyssey, and it's 24 minutes, and it's cut up into 7 parts. This is epic, epic power metal. It's really, really shreddy, but in a tasteful way. Um, and it's just bombastic, dude. It really fits well with if you like for the if you read literature, if you like Homer's Odyssey and stuff. I think it pairs very, very well with the feeling of said piece of ancient literature. It's very, very cool. Would highly recommend Symphony X if you guys have not listened to them. And I recently picked up another one from them, which is Paradise Lost, which is another classic piece of literature. Uh, I forgot the fellow who wrote it, but obviously that's where Paradise Lost got their band name. I haven't listened to this more than once because I only recently got it and it's been on the shelf. But this is a really, really great piece of Christian fiction back in the day. Just a really, really solid piece of American metal, dude. 2007, so they were really well produced, and it fits really, really well with the style. They put the songs to literature very well. I really do like this band quite a bit. I need to buy more of their stuff. Cons- uh, Continuing in the super dorky realm, I'm just going to show all these at once because you guys probably don't want to see them. I have a couple from TSO. I have Night Castle, uh, Christmas Eve and Other Stories, and Songs of Winter. So I just love to listen to anything John Oliva has ever done, ever, generally. So I would highly recommend you at least listen to this one because it's a really, really solid kind of neoclassical with metal influence album. Same thing with all these. I mean, it's like a metal opera. That's basically what this band is, or a metal ensemble of like just really well put together musicians. Check out a TSO stuff if you guys haven't. I don't know how you couldn't have by now, but sorry, I'm sniffling my allergies. have been rough since the weather started warming up here a little. Next, I have a Twilight Force album, which Dawn of the Dragon Star. That is a top shelf album cover, if I ever seen one. I have a different album from this band on vinyl, and this is great, dude. This band is everything you like about dweeby power metal, just amped up. Even further, it is just overwhelmingly dorky. You know, like so far as like the band members will wear elf ears and stuff. It's just great. Super super fun. Cheesy as it comes, dude. Great stuff. Very much so in the Rhapsody vein. And speaking of, we have Luca Torelli's album King of the Nordic Twilight. This is a killer record. This is a 10 out of 10. Perfect power metal record. If I was going to make a top 10 video about my favorite power metal albums, this is definitely going to be there. Excuse me. And another really cool promo flyer, which is hilarious that it's just chock full of his whole band. But yeah, this is a really great record. Well, at this point, he was still in this band. This is a side project. But band photo, look at friggin' Luca. He looks like such a weirdo. He looks more like a pirate than a king, but whatever. So this is basically more Rhapsody, but with a little bit more of like a Swedish power metal feel, as opposed to being like a kind of Italian style like they usually are. Really seriously, brilliant, perfect record. Check this out if you guys haven't heard it. Next, I have Luca Torelli's Rhapsody with Ascending to Infinity. I don't remember ever listening to this. I might have just bought this and shelved it immediately. So I really can't say much. The aesthetics are kind of cool. It's like this angel with some stuff in his hands, looking over a city that looks like it's about to be obliterated. Next, Twilight Guardians, The Wrath, or sorry, Tales of the Brave. This is a German power metal band, if I remember correctly, and this is their second full length, I think. No, this is their first full length album, and it is really solid stuff. It's very much so in the vein of your German power metal bands, where they're a little bit less bombastic, but they're still pretty epic. It's really cool like that. I actually really like this kind of stuff because I don't always just want to hear Rhapsody and Rhapsody adjacent bands. It's a really good, more along your Blind Guardian line, like I said. Next, I got this off of the recommendation of my buddy Goatman. Twisted Tower Dire with Netherworlds. Um, really solid power metal, dude. This band is really well put together. Some top shelf American power metal. Useless slipcase as usual. A little bit pricier. Twisted Tower Dire is not the cheapest stuff to go get a hold of. I would highly recommend you pick up anything you do see, though, because you are not going to be disappointed. If you like all of the great trimmings of European power metal mixed in with like an American attitude, almost an American anger to it, highly recommend it, dude. Seriously, this is great. I think they're from Virginia. Maybe. I don't particularly remember off the top of my head. Nonetheless, a very good record entirely. I need to get more stuff from their catalog. Next, Northern Twilight Symphony by Virtuosity, which is spelt wrong. Um, really solid stuff. Swedish power metal done in the Swedish power metal style. A little bit on the bombastic side. Another really uh, eclectic album cover, to say the least. There's like an angel with a snow tiger and a symphony of like relatively scantily clad women playing on top of what looks to be a glacier, and then there's like a mage. That sums up this album in its entirety. It is like really dorky neoclassical power metal. And dude, that's the best. It just doesn't get better than that. Neoclassical power metal is the king of power metal as far as the new age of it goes. Just really solid stuff. It's not as shreddy as some of the more like Concerto Moon and some of the Japanese scene, but it's a really decent record. Next, War Dance with Wrath for the Ages. This is a Greek band, which, as we know, the Greeks have a weird way of doing things. Pretty much in every band that they do, they sound Greek, obviously Greek. And I kind of like that about them. Actually, I like that quite a bit about them. This is really cool. Kind of progressive power metal. Really sweet album cover. It's like giant spires of mountains with fires on the top and what looks to be like a Spartan in the middle. Banging stuff. The album itself is not the coolest thing in the world, but it is a pretty decent record as far as power metal goes. Would recommend getting it cheap. I picked it up in CD and records for a few bucks. Next, The Veil of Summer by Winterfell. So I picked this up blind a while ago, and I don't remember where they are from. I think they might be Swedish. I think this is their one and only full length that ever came out. I think they might have also had an EP, but don't quote me on it. We're starting to get to this kind of like less obvious stuff to me because obviously the top shelf is more of what I listen to all the time. And the further down you go, it tends to be the less I listen to stuff, which it's kind of out of order in that chronology as far as my current listening habits go. But I'm not going to move the traditional metal up because it's already down here, and I probably grab more out of that than most things these days. So really, really solid stuff. Don't remember too much of it. Sorry again with the sniffling. Wuthering Heights, To Travel Forevermore. Also recently picked this one up. Another really good, weird kind of power metal, progressive metal, folk metal, somewhere kind of in that general vicinity. Similar to Elven King, but I think a little bit more on the power metal side than it is this. But yeah, so I'm actually going to be. I want to go see Elven King with Ailstorm here in a couple of months up by me in Milwaukee. Uh, so that would be really, really cool. But if you like stuff like Elven King, check out Wuthering Heights. I think that's a pretty good style similarity. So I'm going to call it that, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it sounded good. I'll catch you on the next one. Keep it greasy.